Hey bookies, today we are going to talk over books that you should consider getting for the whole family. So let's get started. Alright, so this is just going to be like a big list of random recommendations that you should definitely check out. And some of it's going to be based on my experiences and stuff like that, but also it's just to generally introduce you to some books that might make good Christmas gifts. Also, a reminder, if you are getting books for Christmas this year, buy early, pre-order early if you're getting new releases. There is a disruption in the supply chain, so please do not be mad if the bookstores sell out of things that you want. Just buy them early, get it over with, go to your local bookstores, pre-order from them. You get pre-order incentives. If you don't know, there's pre-order incentives for most books. So definitely pre-order, get all of your ducks in a row, because it's going to be a very harsh winter this year. So with that being said, let's get started. So I came from a family that really liked to read. All of us had books all the time, constantly, but we all liked different things. So my dad was a fairly big like historical fiction kind of guy, but he also liked horror. So, and he's read this book before, but I'm going to recommend it because he loved it, and I did too. We actually read it together. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter by Seth Grahame-Smith. He writes a lot of stuff that he retells, specifically Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. But this one he took Abraham Lincoln's life and he turned him into a vampire hunter. And if you look on the back, there is a headless guy. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it goes through Abraham's life, him seeing his mother being killed by a vampire, and him striking vengeance against that vampire. It goes through several historical events, explaining them in fantastical ways. It's a fun read, and your dad might enjoy reading it. But if he is a science fiction nerd like my dad is also, he might like Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. This is one that actually my husband and I read together, and it was so fun. We loved it. Basically, it is about this quasi-Earth. Basically, it's about this guy named David. When he is young, he sees an event kind of like an eclipse, kind of like Heroes. If you watch that TV show, this is kind of like Heroes. But there is an event that happens, and after that event is over, people find out that they have superpowers, but they turn evil. Why? I don't know. You're going to have to read to find out. Super fun series. It's a trilogy. The author has since come out with a side story to it, and I hope he writes more. Brandon Sanderson is actually a phenomenal science fiction fantasy writer. You should definitely check him out. My mom really enjoys, she kind of leans towards more like romance, heavy romance books, but she also enjoys contemporaries. So I've already picked out a book for her so far. I picked out The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for her, which I think she'll like. There's romance, but I'm also trying to slip in a little diversity into her. So we got that going on. But she would probably also enjoy The Edge of Anything by Nora Shalway Carter, which is a great book about these girls that go on a hike in Asheville, North Carolina, and then a lot of things are discussed, like, I'm just going to read off from the book, grief, mental health, and how the transformative power of friendship can help us find ourselves and the goodness of life when everything else feels broken. It's a book that's going to make you cry. Moms like to cry sometimes. But if your mom is strictly romance, I would also recommend Outlander. My mom has started this series, I think, and I think she has enjoyed it. She's not really set. My mother is the kind of person that will tell you she doesn't enjoy something, so when she doesn't tell me that she doesn't enjoy something, I'm going to default that she likes it. She's not said anything about Outlander, the TV series, so I assume that she likes it, so I would also recommend Outlander, the book, the heavy book. If you have a younger sibling, I recommend the Rick Riordan imprints. So, Rick Riordan is an amazing middle grade author, but he has an imprint, and this is where the work under his name shines, because this imprint allows authors to write own voice novels involving their culture, their mythology, their folklore, everything. So like we have the Tristan Strong series, which is about which features a black male middle grade character, and African folklore and black mythology, stuff like that. This one is Hmong culture, character, lore, mythology. There's also Mayan and much more. There is a ton that's going on in the imprint. So if you have a younger kid, they might really like this. If you're trying to get them away from Harry Potter because the author is absolutely trash, you could also pick up Amari and the Night Brothers, which is kind of like Harry Potter, but much better. We have a black main character. We have it. We have stuff that talks about racism. This book is so good. So basically, it features Amari Peters, who's never stopped believing that her missing brother Quentin is alive, not even when the police told her otherwise, or when she got in trouble for standing up to bullies who said that he was gone for good. So when she finds a ticking briefcase, she is sent to this magical world where she learns how to use powers, but also is trying to uncover her brother's what happened to her brother, and she feels that he is still alive. It's an amazing book. There's talk of racism in there, which I think is now even more important for younger kids to know about and to learn about. But yeah, so good, so magical. I highly recommend this book, and the cover for book 2 just dropped. It looks great. It looks great. It looks so good. So good. If you have someone in your life that is looking for retellings, I got them. So we have Disney has its own book press. If you don't know, they have their own like imprints, like Hyperion or something like that. It's like Disney Hyperion. But they have a retelling series, so they take their Disney princesses and they retell their tales. This one specifically is if Anna and Elsa never knew each other, so they were separated when Anna was born. There's also Mulan, if Shang died and she had to travel to hell to save him, which is by Elizabeth Lim, who's like an amazing author. She also wrote Spend the Dawn and Six Crimson Crows. There's a Rapunzel one that just dropped. There's Ariel, Jasmine. There's all of these different authors that write these books. So well done. So good. I haven't found one. I've only read like 4, I think. But I haven't found one yet that I didn't like. But if you're looking for something that's not Disney-fied, A Curse So Dark and Lonely is a beautiful Beauty and the Beast retelling. Basically, it features this girl named, I think her name's Harper. Yep, her name is Harper. A goldfish memory, I have to check. Her name is Harper. She has cerebral palsy. One day, she is milling about. I think she's trying to find her brother. I believe that's where we start off. She gets transported to this world, to this kingdom specifically, that is under a threat because of a bad deal that went wrong for which. You know the Beauty and the Beast story. But yeah, so good, so fun. This is actually a trilogy, so and I absolutely loved it. I think I devoured this in 2 hours, which is pretty impressive. It's like 400 something pages. But if you're looking for something that is just fantasy, I got you. So we got Ashley Poston's Among the Beasts and Briars, which I'm just going to read like the first paragraph. Ceres is safe in the kingdom of Eloria. Here there are no droughts, disease, or famine, and peace is everlasting. It's been that way for hundreds of years since the first king made a bargain with the lady who ruled the forest that borders the kingdom. But as Eloria prospered, the woods grew dark, cursed, and forbidden. Ceres knew that all too well. When she was young, she barely escaped the woods that killed her friends and her mother. Now Ceres carries a bit of the curse and magic in her blood, a reminder of the day she lost everything. A new queen is crowned, however. Things long hidden in the woods descend on the kingdom itself, as Ceres is forced on the run. Her only companions, a small irritating fox from the royal garden, and the magic in her veins. It's pretty good. It's very high fantasy like. So if you have someone that's looking for that, they're gonna like this book. But if they're looking for something more urban fantasy like, they might really like The Babysitter's Coven by Kate Williams. It features this girl named Esme, whose mother is in a mental institution. Her and her father are down on their luck, following her mother's stay there, so she has to babysit for money. When she is babysitting, something arises. She finds out that there's like this whole coven of babysitting witches that basically keep children from being devoured by demonic like entities. It's really good. It's really good. If you like the Babysitter's Club, this is like a darker tale of that. Now, if you're looking to give someone some own voice novels, I got some recs. I have The Ones We're Meant to Find, which is by Joan He. I'm just going to read the first paragraph in here. It's been 3 years and 17 days since C woke up on the shore of an abandoned island. She has no idea how she came to be marooned or what her life was like before. She only has a rickety house by the sea, an android she built for company, and a single memory. Somewhere beyond the horizon, she has a sister and is up to sea to escape the island and find her. A world away, 16-year-old STEM prodigy Casey is also looking to escape from the science she once believed in and from her home. The eco-cities, unpolluted habitats are meant to be a sanctuary for those deserving lineages, for those committed to planetary protection, but instead they're populated by people willing to do anything for refuge, even lie. So it's this awesome sci-fi telling that goes into pollution and stuff like that, but it's also a very heartwarming tale about sisters trying to find each other. So good. Highly recommend. But this one is along the more like fantasy lines, and it's Wicked Fox by Cat Show. So if you never heard of like kitsunes or anything like that, this is basically what it's about. 18-year-old Gu Mi-young has a secret. She is a Gumiho, a nine-tailed fox who survives by consuming the energy of men. But she's also half human and has a soft spot for people, so she won't kill indiscriminately. With the help of a shaman, Mi-young only takes the lives of men who have committed terrible crimes. So Dexter-like. Devouring their life force is a morbid kind of justice, or so she tells herself. But killing men no one would ever miss in a bustling modern-day Seoul also helps Mi-young keep a low profile. Her and her mother protect themselves by hiding in plain sight. That is until Mi-young crosses paths with a handsome boy her age as he's attacked by a goblin in the woods. She breaks her mother's cardinal rule, revealing herself and her nine tails to save Ji-hoon from a certain death. In the process, she loses her fox speed, her Gumiho soul. Without it, she will die. And it's super good. There's actually a sequel to this one as well. It's called like These Vicious Spirit, or Vicious Spirit, something like that. Super good. I really like this one. I can't wait to read the sequel. Now, if you're looking for LGBT pride books, I got some. So we got a contemporary one, which is like Other Girls. It features this girl. Her name is Mara. After she has a fight with a teammate on the basketball team, she's kicked off, and it's given the condition that she can only rejoin if she joins another sport and plays that without having any incidents. She chooses football. For someone with anger issues, she chooses football. So, her being a girl is something that a lot of the book is about. There's a lot of sexism about like if Mara can actually play or not. And she actually inspires a lot of the girls, one being the teammate that she punched, to actually join the football team with her. And it's this great, like, feminist story, but it's also a very good story about Mara finding herself and coming to be into the identity that she wants to be instead of who her mother expects her to be. If you're looking for something that is fantasy, Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst is amazing. This is the first book that I read that had a female-female romance, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So, basically, this girl named Princess Denalia, the name's down here, has always known what her future holds, but she's betrothed to the Prince of Minoria, whose sister is Mare, and yeah, they get together. It's about them breaking gender norms and finding their own path. And this is such a beautiful book. There's a sequel to this, and then there's a side story as well. And then if you're looking for something that's pride but sci-fi, The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow is amazing. Basically about this girl named Ellie, who is demisexual, I think, in the book. she is surviving in a dystopian world where aliens have invaded, and she's like one of the last humans. She's in like this refuge compound that the aliens allow her to live. And she keeps a secret trove of human artifacts, a lot of them being books. When she meets up with one of the aliens who is not like other aliens. Not like other aliens. They have a fight, they tussle, and then they end up on a road trip. It's a pretty fun book. It reminded me actually a lot of like The Fifth Wave, but without the heavy romance scene in it. But yeah, pretty good. I highly recommend this one. It didn't get the praise it deserved when it came out, so I always try to buff it up because I actually really enjoyed this one. It was so good. And then if you are looking to read some indie books for the holiday, or give some indie books for the holiday, I have a couple. I have Spark the Shadow, which is an Asian own voice sci-fi. No, fantasy. It's an Asian a fantasy own voice book about this girl named Mi Hong. Let me just read the fact of it. The first of Mi Hong's new matrons to come to age, Fang, is to take on the task of uniting the Eastern Kingdoms and fulfilling a pact that was set in place long before she was. Two more recommendations that I have before we go are this author. Her name is C.E. Clayton. She writes a lot of books. She has one series called the Monster Selkirk series, which is a fantasy book, but this one is her sci-fi book, the Eleanor series. Basically, it's a crime heist book set in space. There's biotech, there's magic, and the main character right here, she is kidnapped and forced to do stuff that is like kind of against her code of conduct, but will get people, and is getting people killed, so she has to kind of decide, like, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this? You know, typical space crime heist book, but it's really, really good. And then the last book that I'm going to recommend, well, the last series really that I recommend that you get is Nicole Lambert's Threatening Soul series. She is republishing them. So she has book 1 and book 2 out, and book 3 is coming out pretty soon. But book 1 is a horror book. It's super good, super well done series. I highly recommend them, and the covers look gorgeous. Like, you should just buy this book on the cover alone. Also, I don't know what side I'm going to put this cover on, so either side, the cover is gorgeous, and so is the second one. But yeah, that is all the recommendations I have. Remember, you need to shop early. Shop early. Get your stuff done early. You do not want to be without books this Christmas. And yeah, that's all I have for today. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.